10 things on what not to do to someone with autism. Let's begin. Okay, 10 things. Number 1, don't go easy. Now, what do you mean by don't go easy? Well, that's just for me personally, as I prefer a good challenge. You can go as hard as you want when it comes to social situations, or easy as long as it feels natural for you. I will reveal on why these 10 things all relate in a bit. So, number 1, don't go easy. Number 2, I didn't know you have autism. That quote unquote is not so offensive. It's just slightly annoying. When someone kind of realizes that someone has autism, and they say something like, "I didn't know you have autism." It's not really. I mean, to me personally, it's not really offensive per se. It's like, it's more just slightly annoying kind of thing too. And the reason why is because the majority of people with autism do not want to talk about that subject. It's like, it's just a part of them, and they rather talk about other things other than diagnosis. So that's number 2. That's what I would say. Number 3, this is one thing that I recommend you should not do: talk slowly. And the reason for that, number 3, is because it's sort of like seen as people with autism are generally a little bit slow at times, and you feel like you have to talk slowly so that they understand them. So that's number 3. Number 4, no surprise parties. And ask in advance. So this is kind of a little common characteristic when it comes to autism. That surprise parties are a big no-no when it comes to these kind of things too. The reason is because they're so used to the daily routine of things that a surprise party would definitely throw them off, and it will not be much of a party. It would be very chaotic and very. I almost was about to say depressing, but also just it's more on the lines of oh my goodness, my day is ruined because I had my whole day planned like this, and the surprise party is coming out of nowhere. So feel free to do this for a good challenge. It's okay to ask people with autism if they want surprise parties. And for those who have autism, it's okay to answer yes or not so much. I don't really like surprise parties. It's okay. Don't worry. If you're ever worried of laying people down and thinking that people would say, "Oh my goodness, he or she doesn't like surprise parties. What's wrong with this person?" It's so don't be afraid to say, "I don't really like surprise parties that much." And for those who ask, be sure to be understanding and say, it's okay for people that don't like surprise parties. At least in the meantime, at least too. Hopefully, maybe 5 years from now, it's okay to ask again. Hey, how about surprise parties? Are you ready for surprise parties? So all that kind of stuff too. Number 4, no surprise parties, and it's okay to ask in advance. So it's just it's good communications. Number 5, personal space. A majority of people with autism prefer their space. There are a lot of folks with autism that aren't really kind to hugs or anything like that too. I wasn't really much of a hugger person. I was more of a handshaker, and as a matter of fact, even today, I'm still more of a handshaker these days too. I mean, of course, if people offer, then I'm fine with that. In fact, there were times where it's like I mistook a hug for a high five or a handshake and all that kind of stuff too, and it was quite an awkward kind of situation. but it's like even for me, I'm still more of a handshaker kind of stuff too. So the whole personal space is very is very important too. It's like keep good amount of distance here and there, and a lot of folks are different when it comes to that stuff. In fact, it's when it comes to being close and all that kind of stuff. I remember back then when I was I was more of a handshaker. I was like keep your distance. I'm not really too fond of being super close to other people, unless if it's with family members. That's much different and all that kind of stuff. But that's just kind of me personally. So if I'm ever in the neighborhoods, expect me to go like this. A good firm handshake, that kind of stuff too. That's the way I kind of like to do stuff. That's just me personally. So that's number 5. Number six, harassment. And I know that's kind of more of a well, shoot, that's kind of obvious with the whole harassment and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like that's kind of still important when it comes to the 10 things is harassment, because people tend to be nervous when it comes to people who are different, and especially to those who have autism. It can be quite a scary experience for people who behave differently, and the last thing that they want is to be harassed because of that difference. So cut it out, fellas. that's kind of be sure to keep that in mind when it comes to harassment and all that kind of stuff. It's just kind of a thing that you should probably avoid when it comes to the topic of autism. So that kind of thing. Okay, so moving on. Number 7, impatience. Now, impatience is this is quite important too, because when it comes to the topic of autism, it requires a ginormous amount of patience, for people who have it, and for people who are with others that have it. So patience for both. Keep in mind too, for those who have autism, is that we gotta work on patience and all that kind of stuff too, and that can be pretty challenging here and there too. And for those who do not have autism, that can be challenging. Challenging as well. It's all about team efforts and all that kind of thing too. And the last thing that we want all together is impatience with each other. So that's number 7 is impatience, and we gotta work on that kind of stuff too. And it can be challenging here and there too, but it's challenging but never impossible to achieve. So that's what we kind of work on is having less impatience and having more of traditional patience, if you know what I mean. Okay, number 8. 8. I gotta know my numbers correctly. So number 8 is, don't feel like you need to stay in their presence. When you need to go, go. And the reason why I put number 8 right over there too. Well, okay, so this is not like a top 10 list. It's more of a 10 list. It's like 10 things on that kind of stuff. So let me say that again. Don't feel like you need to stay in their presence. When you need to go, go. And because sometimes when it comes to people who do not have autism, and I know this too because I've heard from other people, is that they feel like they have to be there, or they have to be in their presence on campus just for the sake of being nice or being including on campus too. And sometimes even for people who have autism, when there's nothing much to say at the moment, there's always this uncomfortable silence that comes afterwards. So it's okay to leave the conversation if you need to. Especially when you're in school and all that kind of stuff too. Just take care of yourself too. And a short while too. Well, after I complete this list, I will share what they all have in common. So, all right. So number 9. Don't speak for people with autism and assume what they may be thinking. This is very important too, because as I mentioned a very long time ago, we as a team, of course, is when you meet one person with autism, you have met one person with autism. So everyone's kind of different too. So try not to make assumptions when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like you may think that this person um, could not speak at the moment, but that may not be true. It's like they may have the ability to speak. They are trying to find their words on what they're trying to say next. So feel free to keep a minimum when it comes to assumptions for that kind of stuff. So try not to speak for other people. And I also do my part too of not speaking for other people who have autism. I just do my best to figure out what they could be thinking and get replies on if it's true or if it's not so true. So that way we get to find the strategies on how to help children and adults who have autism, to find the strategies for them and for those who care for those who have it. And finally, number 10, assume the worst. So this is kind of time for those assumptions. Is number 10 is assume the worst. And the reason why I put that for last is because I am very much aware that there are people with autism that tend to show off the not so good qualities, like showing off of they do bad things and they blame it on having autism. But as I mentioned clear in Population 1, is that autism is never an excuse for doing these things. People can choose on what they can use. They can't get rid of autism. Instead, they can negotiate with it, and they can use their extraordinary abilities for super good and or for super not so good. I cannot make the choices for people who uses their extraordinary abilities. But what I can do is I could offer them some guidance as to what they can do. It's up to them that have to decide, and create their own destiny, create their own paths, and ultimately just choose the life that they want to have. So for those who do not have autism, I highly recommend that you avoid assuming the worst, because yes, there are people who have autism that aren't necessarily that aren't necessarily that aren't necessarily good. They cause trouble, and they say that they don't know better. Well, I argue that they do know better, and that they use autism as an excuse for that kind of stuff. So I do know that there are people out there, but for those who are still in school and they make all these many mistakes, they are simply trying their hardest. They make plenty of mistakes, and they make unintentional errors, and there comes to a point where even small tiny mistakes, they feel extremely terrible about themselves for that kind of thing too. It's like they try so hard, and for every bad mistake, they do their best to learn from them. They truly generally want to be good people. They want to add something to the world too. So the last thing that they want for other people is to assume the absolute worst for people who have autism. To them, it's just not fair, and they just they're really trying their best. So for those who have autism, just please don't be so too hard on yourself. All right, just it's everyone makes mistakes, even for people who do not have autism, and assuming the worst on others, that's not really quite fair for a lot of people. So assume Instead of assuming the worst on people, assume the potential of what people can provide. You just never know unless you give it a try. It can be quite adventurous. It can be very adventurous for these kind of areas, and maybe you can, and instead you can assume the goods, assume the potential that people will soon have in the future. So that's number 10. So going off with this list, I got a little list right up here. So number 1, don't go easy. Number 2, I didn't know you have autism, quote unquote, is not so offensive, just slightly annoying. Talk slowly. These are things you don't want to do. Number 4, no surprise parties. Ask in advance. Number 5, personal space. Number 6, harassment. Number 7, impatience. Number 8, don't feel like you need to stay in their presence. When you need to go, go. Number 9, don't speak for people with autism and assume what they may be thinking. And number 10, assume the worst. So now we're going to get into the part where we talk about what do all these have in common? It's this: they all have something in common, and that is to simply be yourself around people with autism. And that's basically what it is. You don't have that, so you don't have to feel like you have to change for the sake of other people with autism. And that's the honest truth. That's just take it from me, because I want you to be yourself around me. I want you to be yourself. If you have a sassy attitude, it's okay to be like that with someone like me. It's when you have a cheerful personality, or if you or if you're funny or serious or stubborn or carefree or laid back or anything like that too. Just be yourself around people with autism. And for those who have autism, please take this word of advice. Let them be themselves around you. And if you're ever confused on what goes on, do not hesitate to ask questions. Even if it's simple questions like why are you like this, or why or what does this mean, when someone says something like as in sarcasm or play on words. It's okay to ask questions. For those who do not have autism, and say, feel free to just explain what goes on. It's feel free to talk a bit about yourself. Of why you make certain jokes, or or why do you talk a certain way, and all that kind of thing too. So people with autism, ask questions. People who do not have autism, answer. It's like a little trivia game. Think of it as a trivia game concept too, where all the questions are fair and all the answers are correct. If you look at it that way, it's like I like to say it's like a team effort sort of thing. If you look at it that way, the one who asked and the other answered, and just simply talk to one another, that kind of stuff too. Each of us, whether we have autism or otherwise, we want to get to know people like that too. People who are generally curious of what it's like to have autism, and people who do not, people who have autism generally want to know what it's like to not have autism without revealing a diagnosis. Because we don't want to talk about the diagnosis in general as an individualized topic. We want to talk about people in general. We want to talk about each other. So we're not mentioning these 10 things of what not to do with someone with autism. It simply just all implies of saying that just simply be yourself around people with autism, and don't ever feel like you have to change for the sake of other people. You may ask some questions here and there too, like is it okay to have surprise parties or anything like that, or it's okay to ask questions it's like what do you like, what do you don't like, and for those who have autism, just simply answer, just simply say if you're not if you don't really like loud noises, then let them know. It's okay to say that. It's even if it's just a casual thing where it's like, well, I'm not really a big fan of jet planes that go by. It's like loud noises here and there. So it's okay to say that. It's just be honest, just be authentic, and be you. That's what the main thing is about. So those are the 10 things. Excuse me, and so those are the 10 things. And sorry, Vance, that I kind of made a small little mistake, but that's okay. It's like whether you have autism or otherwise, everyone makes mistakes, and it's all about the recovery and the act of failing. And when you fail, you always make a priority to fail forward. So when you fail forward. That's why I mentioned when I was in the elementary school, I gave a little presentation for all the elementary school kids, and little tiny story too about that is that after the presentation, I accidentally lost my footing from the podium and comically fell down and landed on my back. Don't worry, my back is all right. Nothing broke. I just kind of made it a little bit of a cartoon kind of style, and then what I did is I got back on my feet and went back on the podium with my arms to the side like Superman and Wonder Woman, and simply say, when you fail forward, and I even made the kids repeat that same line too. I'm failing forwards, or when you fail forwards. That's that's the message for that kind of stuff too. But since this video is all about the 10 things I want not to do with someone with autism, I always kind of conclude along with these 10 things have one thing in common, and that simply is to be yourself. And that's all I have to have to say. Where am I on the duration of this video? Oh my goodness! I kind of got a little passionate once again. So next video I'll be sure to share some more, and looking forward to answering all your different questions, and all these different things too. So we'll leave it at that, and simply put, that there are no limitations, only adjustments. And I would like to end along with these videos that come up on the screen is, when you fail forward. That's all I have to say here for tonight. And thank you all very much for watching. And I'll be and I hope to see you either in person or on the next video. Okay. Okay. When you fail forward. Good night, everyone.